All right, folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a repair in this floor. This is where a fresh air intake used to be for a fireplace, just two simple holes, 4 inches in diameter, drilled together. And I'm going to cut out this piece of subfloor. Very simple. I got joists showing right here. This is a subfloor that was painted over just for the, seal up stains and stuff like that. They're going to put a LVP floor over top of it. They want to get these plugged up so the LVP floor can go over top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut out by laying it out with a framing square. And with that, that'll give me a nice even cut. I'm going to cut this over top of the joist. I don't have to. I could cut out just a little 8x8 and gusset it, and that'll actually be stronger than the floor, I'm thinking. But I don't know. Some folks you out there might not like the idea of just cutting it out in the middle of the floor. So I'm going to go from joist to joist on this one and cut out about a 16-inch square and plug it back in with a new piece of plywood. And the square is 16 inches, so this will give me a 16-inch depth right here by marking this leg. And simply flip this over, get it lined up with the other natural break that's in the floor, and that should give me a nice reference line. And I got some nails here which looks like they might be a hit and a miss, but this one down here, typically the ones that are at the edges like this one is, no, this is not at the edge. Wherever the edges are the accurate nails, because the carpenter could actually see the nails. But if you can't find a natural break, which one's over there and the other one's down over here, I can still favor the nails by going beside some of them. And I'm expecting that the extra one that's here, I'm going to get it accurate. Now there's a nail that looks like they missed, because I'm going to go ahead beside these nails that are here and do a little overcut. You might even see some sparks fly just a little bit, but I'm going to plunge cut the saw and start this ring after I set my saw for about 7/8 of an inch thick. That'll go through the 3/4 inch plywood plus a little. But when you're cutting on the blind side of stuff, like you don't know what's underneath that floor. I don't know what's underneath the floor except for what this insulation is. And I can go through here and find this, and actually, yeah, that's a good move too. Sorry, I should have suggested that. But there's nothing in the floor that says I can't cut it deeper. But there's no need to, because I don't want to cut into the joist really deep. Another tip that could have been done, but I'm certain that I have it beside the joist, or at least on top of the joist like it's supposed to be. But when you have that flexibility to measure in and see that I have 3 3/4 from this edge to my edge of my joist. So I have to hold it at the same angle that I did. Now I'm literally right at the edge of the joist, and that's a good thing, because I can always cut it back farther. But if I go on the wrong side of the joist or cut too much over top of the joist, that's bad news. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this piece out by using my multi-master and finish up the corners, because I didn't want to go crazy over cutting everything. There is a little bit left to cut still. Yeah, I am right on the edge of that joist. So I'm going to go ahead and make one more cut to get me over top of the edge of that joist. It's going to wind up running into a nail. I'll bypass that nail. And I'll bypass this one, but I'm going to run into this one here. So I'm going to pull that one out ahead of time. So I'm going to move my cut over another 3/4 of an inch or so. And that'll get me where I need to be. And that came out really nice. I got a good edge right here to look at. So now I can clean this up with my little scraper end of my bar here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut me a piece of plywood for this ready to go, because I want to make sure, I want to take scrap of this outside, actually the big scrap, and measure it thickness for my plywood that I have, and make sure I'm doing the right thing, because I can also table saw the edge down if I have a thicker plywood, so it'll set down flush here and there. I'm still going to gusset this edge here and that edge there, because this will mimic what the T&G does. It's typically used on subfloors, so that way the joints won't shift one to the other, and that way you'll have a good solid floor to step on where the joints are at. That'll make all those problems go away. So I am looking at 15 7/8, yes, by 16 is tight, and tight's okay. Good. That's good. That'll work out well. They're both lining up very, very well. And we'll start with a 16-inch rip. I'm going to use 1.5" screws for this. That'll get me all the way through that plywood plus a little bit more. And the screws are going to act just actually as a temporary clamp, so to speak, even though they'll be permanent. And the wood will hold in place on its own just by the screws only. But I'm going to bed this in glue and put it in from underneath and screw it in place like that. You can even see glue popping out of the edge here. It's always good news. I like seeing glue ooze. There's glue popping out right there. So now I give it one last clean up. All right, that's got this finished up here, guys. So this is as strong as the original floor was now, because it's been reinforced in the sections where the joints are at. The guys who come in and do the floor may choose to sand it down a little bit, or put some web patch or a self-leveling, a trowel grade self-leveling material over top of it to fill in whatever they see might be an issue. But this is ready to go for LVP floor over top of it. So folks, if this is something that you picked up on, that you learned something from, please like and subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you.